Reston Digs, guess what? Today I'm interviewing Charlotte Geary of Charlotte Geary Photography here at the brew house. Why? Because, hey, this is a cool spot and this is her painting and we thought we would do it, not painting, your photo, right? We're gonna be talking about her business and how you started and why photography, and so let's jump right in, right?
Sure.
How long have you been doing this now?
Since 2001.
Okay.
And I quit the day job in 2004. I had kind of a gradual transition into it, and since 2004 I haven't looked back.
Okay. And when you and I were talking earlier, you said you were that kid that always had the camera, and all your friends knew that you were the photographer, even though it was just like you grew, it was your passion, right?
That's exactly right.
But you didn't go to school for that. You went to school for something different.
I did. I have a bachelor's in psychology and a master's in education.
Okay.
But all throughout high school, college, and grad school, I took photography courses just because I loved it.
Okay.
And I even intended to eventually go into photography education. But I haven't really taught yet because I've had too much fun taking the pictures.
Okay. And you said in 2004 is really when you started doing the full-time thing.
Yeah.
And it was around when a lot of your friends were getting married, or
That's right. That was the time when I was getting invited to a ton of weddings, and I photographed several of them, and lots of engagement portraits and kid pictures. And I didn't really intend to do it as a job. Like, I always had thought of it as a hobby, and my job was over here and they were separate. But it was due to everyone's requests that it kind of started becoming one. And finally I realized, what am I doing? I love the photography more than anything else I've worked on, and I should really just make this happen.
And what I've noticed is that you kind of do it all over, like you're traveling. So how did that come about?
Before I had kids, I did way more traveling. Okay. It's a lot harder now. I have 2 kids. But before that, people would find me online and fly me to where they needed me to go.
Wow.
Yeah, it was
That's
great.
Kind of cool.
It was so much fun. I mean, it's still fun, but it was so fun to be in these gorgeous locations. I lived in Colorado, so I did a lot of ski resort weddings, lots of beautiful mountain scenery, but I'd also went to San Francisco a few times, Florida. I've done weddings in 15 states, England twice, and now I'm mostly local, which is my preference just due to the convenience with kids. But I do love to travel, and I imagine eventually I'll get back into that kind of lifestyle.
Okay. I was checking out your Instagram before I came here. I saw you were in Copenhagen.
Oh yeah, that was just for fun.
Okay.
That wasn't work related.
Well, cool pictures though.
Yeah,
right?
Thank you. I had no idea how much I would love Copenhagen. It wasn't even on my bucket list. It was just, I went with a friend and we had friends there, and it just kind of happened. But anyone who loves Reston should look into Copenhagen. And in fact, it wasn't even until I got back and I was chatting with Cheryl Simon, who is Bob Simon's widow, and she was telling me that she and Bob used to love to go to Copenhagen and that it always inspired him. And I didn't know that at the time, but when I was there, I said, anyone who loves Lake Anne needs to see Copenhagen because they seem so culturally similar. The lifestyle is similar. It really connected with me.
Yeah, and we were talking before we started this that you've been here living on Lake Anne for 9 years, right?
Yeah, just under,
Just under 9, and you were, I guess, wanting something that was nature and yet, in Northern Virginia, and so how did you settle here, I guess?
Well, I grew up in Northern Virginia, in Annandale, and I never really thought of Northern Virginia as, I don't know, beautiful and scenic. It's just where my family is. My husband and I moved to Colorado before we had kids, and we had great adventures, 6 years in the mountains. And, and before that, we were living in Arlington. So I've always been a big fan of walkability, of community, of not needing to be in a car wherever you go, and getting to know your neighbors. So when we decided we were going to have kids and we wanted to be near my family in Northern Virginia, we wanted to find a place that combined that Arlington walkability with the Colorado natural beauty. And I had never heard of Lake Anne, and I wouldn't have even considered Reston because it just seemed too suburban, too far away from the city. But then I came here for a photo shoot. Someone asked me to take his family portraits here at Lake Anne.
Okay.
And I fell in love instantly. I'd never seen anything like it. A year later, we were house hunting here, and 2 years later, we moved.
Cool. That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I never would have thought that we would have moved to Reston either. I was from Arlington as well.
Yeah,
And I was just like, that's far, but it's not far, but everybody thinks it's far, right?
I mean, it's far if you have to commute in and out of the city every day, but even now with the metro, it's doable.
But we don't have to, right? It's like live, work, play right here in Reston.
Exactly. And there's so much to do here, and we call it the bubble because you can kind of get stuck here and happily stay here for a long time. Yeah.
For sure. Well, talk to me a little bit about the type of photography you do, because when I was on your site, I saw portraits, I saw weddings, I saw commercial, so tell me a little bit about that. And what do you prefer?
God, I wish I could answer that. I don't know. All of it. I love it. That's why I have it all on my website.
Okay.
The best way I can summarize it is people. I do a lot of like landscapes and scenery, and Reston is sort of my muse in terms of it's just a beautiful place. So I do a lot of that, and a lot of people know it. But what I truly love is people. Anything that's a true story. I'm not just talking about myself. I'd much rather be talking about you and then learning about you and why you do what you do.
Well, this is why I do this. I like learning
you
about
like it too,
people.
so you get it. But that's what I love. I want to know people's story, and I think everyone is interesting, and everyone has something that is worth sharing and telling about themselves, and that's my goal. So I am kind of a photojournalist at heart, although I don't work in journalism, but that's my goal is telling stories of people.
Telling the stories through pictures of people.
That's right.
Right.
And then in terms of the specifics, that leads to a lot of portraits. I do personal branding where I help people promote themselves through their businesses in like a genuine way, more so than just a headshot way, but in like telling
telling the story. Like they want to know about nobody wants to know like the stick figure you. They want to know the real you, the colors, the vibrancy.
Something you can connect to, right? Yeah. Something where if you're scrolling through Instagram and you're looking for a real estate agent, you want to choose the one that is similar to you in some way, or that is likable to you in some way, or trustworthy. And if you're just looking at a smiling headshot, it doesn't necessarily convey that, right?
100%.
Right. And obviously headshots are important and you need them for a lot of purposes, but I like to do the next thing, I like to show the real you. And I also love event photography, anything that involves a story unraveling in front of me, which is why I also love weddings. I don't do as many of them these days because they are a big time commitment with kids. But anything where real emotion, real energy, human connection, is anything like that is happening in front of me, that's what I like to photograph.
I saw the first I guess the first photos that I saw of yours were at the Reston Museum, and I guess you had actually photographed all the women business owners in downtown Lake Anne.
That's right.
And they were super powerful. I was like, who is she? And they were like, oh, that's Charlotte Geary. Like, you guys have to do a Reston Digs on her. So tell me a little bit about that. I guess you were capturing the story of because down here in the plaza, I mean, there's just, it seems like they're all women business owners, right? Yeah,
and I hadn't fully realized that until a group of the Lake Anne merchants came to me last winter, and they said they're putting together an event for International Women's Day in March, this past March 2019. And they wanted to talk about how almost every business is owned or managed by a woman here at Lake Anne. And that's an interesting statement on what draws women business leaders to this community. And then you can really think about that. Is there something feminine about this community? Not necessarily, but maybe it's the sense of community and the interpersonal relationships that go on in this place more so than in like in a strip mall or in an office building. So anyway, they put together a big presentation, they meaning the Lake Anne merchants, and they asked me to do a photo show. So I was invited to a solo photo exhibit of my creation regarding surrounding the fact that most of these people are women. So I had a private photo session with each business leader who chose to participate. Some chose not to. And I did what I was trying to tell you before. Like, I like to learn what makes them tick. What is their special talent that they contribute to this community? And we've got, well, we're in a brew house, so we've got the brew house owner, we've got a veterinarian, we have an art gallery owner, we've got a bookshop owner, we have a chef, classically trained French chef here, museum. There's so much talent that goes into Lake Anne. And each person contributes their own skills and their own personalities to make this a full village. And it's just another random fact, they happen to be women, but what really interests me is all of the combined talents to come together as a community. So I did that. So it's a full portrait series that I displayed as a solo show in March at the community center, and then the Reston Museum had them on display for about 6 months afterward. And unfortunately, I just took them down because I had to do another exhibit. I know, sorry. But they had it's very cool. You should go to the Reston Museum and see it. It's an exhibit about the 50th anniversary of the moon landing.
Okay.
So that's good too.
Awesome.
But I do a lot of work with the Reston Museum, and I love what they do, and it was nice for them to have invited me to be a part of their exhibit this year.
So you said a lot of people find you online, right? So where are they finding you? On Instagram, on YouTube? Like what? How do people find
this
you?
is obviously the era of social media, but interestingly enough, most of my paid clients come from Google. I will talk to anyone about the importance of SEO, search engine optimization. So people follow me online, love to look at my pictures, but they're not necessarily the ones that are hiring me. The ones that say, I need a photographer now, they're finding me through Google. But then over the years, what I've found is the consistent branding, the consistent online presence does lead to more long-term work. So people will choose me for their wedding before they've met their groom. Like that's happened to me multiple times.
When I get married,
as soon as I meet the right guy, you are coming to Nebraska. And that has happened,